Hello, everyone, and happy holidays. It is almost New Year's Day, and I was contemplating on getting the Chalice of Osiris puzzle done, but I wanted to go ahead and upload something, and I thought I'd do it a little different than I usually do it. So I'm going to go ahead and review this really cool little trick lock puzzle called the Picolock by Boaz Feldman. And after I review it, then I'm going to walk through actually how I was able to solve it. So I will tell you when there is a spoiler coming. Before that, you don't have to worry. So let's get going. This, as you can see, is the Picolock by Boaz Feldman. Goal is to open the lock. Do not apply excessive force or use any external tools. And warning, contains small parts. Please keep out of reach of children. And that's it. And so it's relatively straightforward. So taking a look at it itself, I will say that this is very on brand for the Boaz Feldman puzzle locks. The puzzlelocks.com is where you can find them. Actually, the website's right here. And forgive if my nails and hands are a little dirty. I've been working on the Chalice of Osiris. I actually got an all-metal version that is immaculate. I just need to fine-tune some things. We're so close. But anyway, what we can see is this typical sachet or satchel or whatever you want to call it that it comes with. It's felt or velvet, I guess you would call that velvet, yeah, with the little insignia on the front for their logo. And then here you can see the name of the lock, Picolock, and then Wabab, Israel. Israel is where it comes from. And one of the things I'll say about the locks, there's another lock called Loki that I have as well. And I know that there's several locks in this collection. I only have Loki and this one. And Loki was a lot of fun. It was a sequential discovery lock. And this one, it doesn't really say whether it's sequential discovery or not, but I'm anticipating there's probably some elements of sequential discovery since that's what we saw on the last lock. That, of course, is just me assuming. So one of the things we can note is that it comes with a key, just a run-of-the-mill ordinary key. It's made of probably, what is that, brass? Brass, and then the lock itself is pretty sturdy. It's pretty weighty. It feels just like a typical lock. You have the actual place here where the key goes in, the keyhole, and then it looks like some sort of button here, some sort of divot there, a little hole there, a bunch of dots by the hole, all of which make you ask the question, how do you get it open? So it comes attached by this little thingamabob here, this little, looks like a bike lock or a bike chain or something, just a really small version. But needless to say, it's pretty straightforward that you take the key off of this and you start to solve. It wasn't, at the end of the day, extremely difficult. There was one or two parts that threw me off for quite a while. Now, all that being said is that it was fun, a lot of fun. But I will say, don't expect something like you would get from like a pop lock or something where you have some really intricate mechanisms and such. This one's much cheaper, I believe. I think it's like around $100, where the Loki was around $200 and some dollars. And the Loki had a little more to it than this one does. This one is also somewhat smaller. But I will say, regardless, it was a fun puzzle. It's a clever puzzle. And I would say the aha moment is worth it. So that is what I'll say here, is that this particular lock, I would grab one if you like trick locks, as long as you don't expect it to be super complicated. However, it's better than other locks that you smack or something like that. It's not that simple. It actually is quite clever in the way that you solve it. And now we're going to get to the spoilers. So you have been warned. Okay, so to solve this, here's pretty much the gist of it. And now, of course, this is going to be much quicker than it took me. It took me several days to solve this. Most of the, not all the whole days, but every once in a while I would pick it up and fiddle with it, and then I put it back down. I got the first part pretty quickly. So initially, I figured, okay, I probably have to like unscrew this to get it off, because you see the little texture there, and so that typically means it's some sort of, mechanism to unscrew. So I was, not surprised, set that aside. And then I went about trying to stick the key in the lock, which is what we all tend to do when we're trying to open a lock. And you can see it freely moves except for in this direction. So when this little divot here is facing up, the key can't move, but everywhere else, it can freely move. So the question is, what does that even mean? Well, you'll see in a second. What I will say though is that after a bit of fiddling and knowing that nothing really moved other than that turn right there that was only in 3 directions and not the 4th. So because I've solved other puzzle locks before, and I've noticed in those locks that sometimes putting the key all the way in is not the way to do it. So we know the direction in which it doesn't lock. So we'll pick another direction, which we'll just start with. We know that it doesn't, we can turn it freely here. But I found that if you go to this spike in the middle there, you can actually turn it while it's only halfway through, like that. And then you can freely take it out, where when it's regular, you can't remove it while it's turned. So, knowing that, there you go, we turn it again, and it comes out. So, what is something that I stumbled across is as I was turning, I was like trying to push it in to see if it could go any further, and as I was turning it back, you can see that it actually halfway to where you first put it in pushes in like this, and then you can turn it there and it actually stays put. Now, this is where this hole comes into play, because if you look, there's also a hole there, and lo and behold, a little part comes out of this hole. And what you'll notice is that there's really, it's a hex key, an Allen wrench, I guess you could call it, yet there's really no place to put it. And this is where I got tripped up for many moons. So I tried putting it back in the hole, trying to do different configurations. You really can't stick it in there because you really can't stick this back in there and do anything with it because of just the way that, you can't get your fingers in there and whatnot. There's nothing here to open. There's nothing here to open. So for the longest time, I sat and I fiddled with the key, different configurations, until I thought, wait a second, this thing that I was about to throw away when I first bought it, thinking it was just some thing to keep the key attached to the lock, I thought, wouldn't that be crazy if there was something here to be done? So there's no threads here, so I didn't think anything was there. But you can stick this into this side, and I was fiddling around, and what I noticed was I actually started to feel that something could come out, and this little screwy thingy came out, and it opened this, which I observed. I don't know if you can see that, but it actually, let me see if I can get closer. See how it's like a flathead screwdriver? That is what was the aha moment, because then I was like, oh, this actually can reach into there like a little snake in a pipe that I'm trying to unclog or something. And then I noticed that when I turn it like a screwdriver, that this little button on the side actually is a plug that is able to be unscrewed. There you go. And once I got it a certain amount of way outs, you just turn a little further and the shackle comes out, and there's your solve. Fun, not difficult, but fun. It was that one little place with this that tripped me up. Other than that, pretty straightforward. So let's reset it. So that is the Picolock by Boaz Feldman. Not complicated, not too hard, but a lot of fun with a really cool aha moment. And I will say that if you can pick one of these up, it's not that expensive. It's $100-some. While that's a lot for a lock, if you like puzzles, and especially ones that you can give out at parties, just make sure that they solve it over a desk or something, because that little thing can get lost. Anyhow, I would say if you don't want to get one for any reason, or you can't for some reason, then I hope you at least enjoyed solving it through my eyes. And I'm wishing you all a happy new year. And until next time, I'll see you then. Goodbye for now.